what a night. Oh gosh, what a night. I feel good when you're wrapped up in my arms, dancing to a reggae song.
Michelle, I'm so excited to talk to you today. How are you?
I am fabulous. How are you? Thank you.
I'm very good. I'm just ready to get to San Miguel. I hate to admit this, but I've never been to Mexico.
Oh
I
my
mean, unless you
gosh.
count when I crossed the border, went to Tijuana to get tacos.
Oh, okay. Well, you kind of went to Mexico, but not really.
They did stamp my passport, so
Oh, okay.
technically I've been to Mexico, but I haven't explored, and so I don't know much about Mexico besides like the huge surge of Black Americans who are headed to Mexico. And so that's why I was like, we have to go to Mexico because there's so many people going there. I need them to have the right information. So that is
Absolutely.
why I reached out to you to partner with me with this program that I have started called Launch Your New Life Abroad. And Launch Your New Life Abroad is simply a program where we're not just telling you about a country, we're taking you to a country so you can explore it with me, with a co-host, and with a lot of other people. So we just want you to really get firsthand experience. And we're really trying to just walk you through and take you step by step and handhold you just a little bit, just so you can kind of get acclimated to each country. And we're doing this in several countries all over the world. Right now, it is San Miguel, Mexico. So I really wanted to talk to Michelle, the expert on San Miguel. I'm probably even saying the name wrong. I don't know.
No, it is right.
I cannot wait
No, it's
to
actually
hear
right.
more about it.
Okay. Well, I live in San Miguel de Allende, which is located in central Mexico. I've been here since June of 2018, expatting for almost close to 3.5 years. And I absolutely love this city. I love my life here. I go hard for San Miguel. And luckily, Faye and I met online and we connected about her tours. And I said, hey, pick me for this part of Mexico because there are lots of other expats that have moved here over the last few decades. And it's an amazing, amazing city. And I feel like we all need to know about it.
All right. Well, just tell me, you said you are in love with this place. Tell me what specifically you love about San Miguel.
Well, for starters, I love the people in Mexico, period. But even here, more so than anywhere else I've even visited over these years of coming back and forth to Mexico, they're just so warm and friendly and fuzzy and helpful. I feel that, the culture here is so accepting of us moving from the US and pretty much invading, this beautiful city. So that's really my first and foremost. I'm always just, taken aback by how helpful and how warm people are. And they make this transition to living abroad and living in Mexico really a soft landing space. Other things that I really admire about living here is that it's super economical, but you're not losing a lot of the things that you're accustomed to having in the US. You really can have a nice space to live in, a nice space to rent, a nice place to buy, and it costs you a lot less than you would spend or pay in the US. So a lot of the benefits that we receive, I just kind of am like the added value with services, medical that's affordable, and all these other things just make this space so amazing. But it just feels magical. I say this all the time. I always tell people Mexico is magic. And I feel like the only way to really experience that is to come and check it out. Like you will feel it from the core of your body. Like this place is really a beautiful thing. When I came here, I thought, well, we'll just, move there. We're going to find a nice place. It's going to be less expensive. We're going to downsize our life. We're going to be semi-retired, blah, blah, blah. Well, since moving here, it's been just a blessing because there are lots of added value type things that I didn't really think about. So I'm in a space right now where I'm realizing my quality of life has gone up so much, even though I anticipated a percentage of it, but it's been twofold. It's just amazing. I love it.
Okay, awesome. So two things I want to go back to that you mentioned. Number one, you said it's affordable. And number two, you were saying how magical it was and how safe. So that's one question I get a lot since I posted this event. People are asking me, is Mexico safe? You know, it's kind of like when I lived in Colombia and people were like, no, there are cartels there. And I'm like, wow, I've never seen one, you know. But so tell me about number one, the price point, and number two, the security in Mexico.
Okay, with the price point, the cost of living, I'll give you a couple examples. So when I moved here initially, I didn't anticipate buying a vehicle because I was thinking I'm going to be in Central, I'm going to walk everywhere, and I'm going to experience city life. Well, it didn't quite pan out that way, so we decided to move a little bit outside of town. And when people think the suburbs, I think our vision of the suburbs in the US is that we are, way outside. Well, I can literally see the symbolic church that's in Central from my kitchen window and also my master bedroom. So we're not that far outside of town. It's a very compact city. But to address like what I get for the same rent that I was paying, or even a little less than what I was paying in the US for rent, is a lot of security. I live in a development, if that's your style. We have 24/7 security. It's beautiful. There are swimming pools, and there's what they call a Casa Club, the clubhouse. They have a steam room, there's jacuzzis and tennis courts and the whole nine. They even have a spa room. If you want to hire a masseuse to come, there's a room for that. So my point of saying that is that I paid almost the same price in Florida and I got a lot less. I had none of those things in terms of renting. It's just a beautiful place and I'm really close to Central. And then with the car, when I considered buying this vehicle, I said, I don't really need it. We ended up out here and we ended up buying a car. And just as an example for my insurance payments, the insurance I paid in the US on a monthly basis was somewhere around $220 a month. And I'm sure it's gone up since. And I literally pay about $300 for the vehicle that I have in Mexico for the entire year. So that just kind of tells you I'm saving like probably thousands of dollars over time. So it's just less expensive. I have internet for about $50 a month and it's really thorough. So there are a lot of things like this. I can still have a lot of services. For example, I am a massage girl. Like, don't buy me jewelry, just get me a spa day, get me a massage, I'm good. They have folks that come to your house for I get the 90 minutes for 600 pesos, which is about 30 US dollars. And they bring everything. You can set it up in your home. You don't even have to leave your house, roll out with your robe on, get your massage, and then just relax after that for the rest of the day. So there are lots of services that come to your home and it's still less expensive than what you pay to go to a place in the US, like getting my nails done. I have a girl who comes here, she does my nails for me and it's literally $30 for her to come to my house with all her stuff. So these are the things that I didn't anticipate that are happening. So I'm just sharing it. It's not a brag. It's just like, what? Life has really gone from being, so-so to amazing living here. Now, to address the safety aspects, I've lived here for 3.5 years, and I've also traveled in and out of Mexico for 15 years, and I have never had an issue. Now, that doesn't mean that things don't happen, but they happen everywhere. You always have to be, aware of where you are, your surroundings and things like that. But as far as, ongoing rampant crime, Where we are and most of Mexico, that's just not the case. I mean, in general, the people here are very tranquilo, as they call it, very calm, very loving, very helpful. When I first moved here and I finally broke down and I bought a car, because I always wanted a Volkswagen Beetle, the old body styles. This car was giving me so many problems. I didn't know where I was going to end up breaking down on the side of the road. And every single time I had a struggle, someone would come and help me, just anyone. I've had women help me start the car. You know, they open a little hatch on the engine and, you know, they're like tinkering around, and I never had to call like a tow company or anything. They always came to my rescue, like, oh, this is what you do. And okay, go ahead and start it. And they will commit to staying with you for like 30 minutes just to make sure you're okay. I've never had any like issues in terms of really feeling threatened by anything. We go out at night, you can walk around. My son plays within our development all day with his friends. I don't have to watch him. They run around all day. So, you know, there's definitely the concern of safety, and they definitely had some challenges, but I feel like every country has that. And I feel that we have this misconception that, right, what you said in the beginning about the cartels and they're going to kidnap you and all. Honestly, a lot of the crime is very specific crime to whatever those people happen to be into. And that's just not how it affects people that move here from other countries to, to start a new life. I really haven't had any issues living here. So I'm just dispelling that.
Oh, wow. Okay. You know, it's just something about that thing that you see in the media, and I guess that's the media, where all those thousands of people like rushing the US border to try to get out and break out and get away from, you know, their trauma. So it definitely gives you a different perspective by hearing what Mexico looks like through your eyes. And so that's really good to hear. So another question I have for you is, what about raising children there? Like, you know, you have a son, is he in school there? Do you homeschool? What type of environment? Does he have friends? Does he speak Spanish? You know, what is that like for, you know, you raising a child there?
Yes, that's a great question. And I'll start at the top, which is I moved here because of him. That was one of the bigger reasons, or the top reasons. I would say we had three, and that was in the top three. I did not want to raise him in the US. I didn't want the anxiety day in and day out of having him in a school where, you know, there could be gun violence, and these things really made me super fearful. So as far as schools and, you know, making this transition to bring my child to Mexico, it has been world changing. It's really, to me, going to benefit him so much in the future. His Spanish is fluent, and I say fluent like he has an accent as if he were a local, and he corrects my sentences. He helps me with things when I don't understand. And this all happened within, I would say, a year and a half to 2 years worth of time, where he really picked it up. And I feel that the younger the child is, just saying, parents, the better, because it's so much easier for them to kind of just, you know, find and weave their own little path in a new country. And it's just made me realize, like, he is currently not going to become, he is already a global citizen. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's already able to adapt to almost any situation. I see him with, you know, the local children out in the country. He just goes in, starts talking to them. They're surprised that he speaks Spanish, and then they start playing, just what kids do, right? So it's been really amazing. As far as schools, in San Miguel, there are choice schools here. There are international bilingual schools where you just come, you know, you take a mini exam, they you know, admit the student. The spaces are beautiful, the teachers are loving, the classrooms aren't like ginormous. You know, you would have an average of 10, maybe 15 children in a classroom. They really did not make it complicated for us to integrate in this way. A suggestion that I would probably have is if you know you want to move to Mexico, is possible, and depending on your child's age, possibly try to help them learn the language so that it's a little easier from an academic standpoint. I think that for students going into school and trying to learn and they don't speak the language, it can be a little bit of a emotional struggle. But as far as like availability for different types of schools, there's a Montessori school. My son was there for a little while. He was also, I looked at a Waldorf school, which is pretty popular. There's several international schools. There are several local schools that are more traditional Mexican, but still bilingual. And all of these are private schools, very affordable. I would say your average high end would be like a $300 US a month tuition, if that's what you wanted. And of course, there are local schools like public schools. I don't know anything about those because I never inquired, but as far as just integrating, that was something that we did. Now we're, at the midst of COVID and all these other issues. I switched over to homeschooling, which I want to talk about because it's an affordable option for me still to have a teacher. So he's homeschooled, but he still has a teacher. So he's basically homeschooled through her. I drop him off at her home and he is basically, having one-on-one. And this teacher is from Texas. She is a teacher who has taught for 30 years. She retired one year ago. And I found her on Facebook, and I was just looking for someone to basically help him, kind of catch up because of COVID. Long story short, it's been amazing. It's been amazing. He has flourished and it's very affordable. He goes there 15 hours out of the week. We put a curriculum together, and then we also have other activities for him. So he has that 3 days a week. He currently has robotics 2 days a week, which is amazing. They do amazing things there. And he has Taekwondo 2 days a week. And he also has singing. So anything you want for your child, Mexico has it. Really, they truly have it. And you can attain it. It's reachable. It's not, I can only do this one thing. You can do all of it and still have money in your pocket.
All right, that's amazing. So I know a lot of people keep asking this question, and so I'm going to pose the question to you. What is the labor force like? So for people looking to move to Mexico, I think their biggest question is, what do I do for work? How do I earn money? Because most of the people looking aren't the people who are just, independently wealthy. They still have to create an income for themselves. Like, what is it like there as far as the labor force, and what do you suggest, and what are other expats in Mexico doing to create an income for themselves?
Well, I think if it's possible to start on the top layer, let's say you are working in the US, look into possibly working for the company that you're with. See if there's an option for you to work with them, work from home, or work, remotely. I would start with at least asking if that's something that might come up. See if there's a job or a position being offered in the country of your choice or in Mexico, and just see if that's a possibility. I would always start there. I for sure recommend people to continue earning US dollars. And there are like so many jobs and places online where you can go there and look for a remote type job, but you want to make sure it's a remote from anywhere type job. I do have another video that I did earlier today, actually, and it was talking to Sheila K about working remote, having portable incomes, and there's a lot of information. So one of the things that we were discussing was basically making sure that you kind of set yourself up on the US side, if possible, before moving here. You don't want to earn Mexican pesos necessarily because the income is way lower than what you would earn in the US. So even if you took something of a pay cut to work at a remote type job, but you're still earning US dollars, you have to stretch your brain a little bit and realize like, okay, my cost of living is a lot less in this new country or this new space. So I don't necessarily have to earn a six-figure living because I'm not living in New York City and I'm not living in California. I'm now moving myself to a country where the cost of living is way less. So I would definitely recommend, if you want a job, some people want security. They're not necessarily of the entrepreneurial nature, or they don't know how to do it. They're afraid to start whatever. I would say, look at all of those options. There are lots and lots of resources out there where you can find companies that actually only hire people remotely. So I would look at all of that, and I would make sure that all those options are explored. Now, as far as living in Mexico, if you are a temporary resident or on a tourist visa, legally, you're not allowed to work in this country and earn pesos, okay? They don't want people to come in and take jobs away from the locals, which makes sense, right? If you do work for a company or a job and you have a temporary or a permanent visa, you can get a work visa and be able to earn pesos. And what you earn is kind of what you negotiate, what's your job and what you're doing, et cetera. And I'm not trying to make it sound like, you can't earn in pesos here, but because you can. There are plenty of people who make a lot of money here in pesos, but it's not my recommendation to try to do it that way unless you work for a company that has a business or some kind of connection with Mexico. Now, a lot of expats come down and start their own business. Now, you can either do the digital online or you can start a physical business. And there are lots of ways to do that. And it all kind of depends on what you're doing. For example, it's really easy to start a business in Mexico in general. Now, when I say easy, like if you're a local person, people sell out of their homes, food, they're on the street, they don't have like all the kind of things that we have to go through in the US in terms of permitting, having a whole license for this and then having, a separate commercial kitchen and all that. No, they really allow people to survive here without all the red tape that we kind of experience in the US. Now, in saying that, as an expat, you still need to have a residence card of some sort, whether it's temporary or permanent, to open a business in the US. And there are various forms of that, whether it's, for example, let's say you came here and you bought a beautiful home. You want to Airbnb it, you have to get your license, which you now have to do in the US, and that's it. And now you can post your Airbnb online and you can earn money that way. Let's say you have multiple homes and you just say, you know what, I'm going to invest in, and I know this is a bigger thing, but I want to talk about it. I want to invest in 2 or 3 spaces throughout town. And that's going to be my income for me to survive and live in Mexico. And, plenty of people do this. Lots of expats do this. They may come here just for a few months out of the year, and then they rent it for the rest of the year, or they may live in it and just rent a room or a space. That's also an option, but you don't need a work permit to do that. So that's the difference between, if I, as a person, wanted to open a restaurant, then I would probably then need to get a work permit if I were only a temporary. I believe as a permanent resident, I can work, I can earn pesos, and I can also open a business. And by partnering with someone locally, that's a little bit more technical, but you can start at actual, location. Like, let's say I wanted to do a lounge. I've had a client ask me about doing like a wine bar or a jazz lounge, or I want to do a catering business, but with an actual space, or I want to do a restaurant people can walk into, or I want to have a hotel, a boutique hotel, or whatever it is. If it's a space that requires you to rent, like commercial, in a commercial setting, these are things that you would get a little help from an attorney, but it is doable. And I feel that that's what a lot of expats do. They come, they might have a art gallery, they might make jewelry, it's a very creative city in this way, where maybe they always wanted to do this and now they live here and they're able to kind of expand their horizons and think about a whole bunch of other things that they can earn income from. So a lot of times that's what happens. People buy clothes, they bring them down, they try to sell, they have a boutique. You know, there's a whole gamut of things that you can do here in Mexico. And I think a lot of it for expats is just that they own their own thing, even if it's on a small scale. And it's just so much more affordable here. You can rent a small commercial space for probably $400 or $500 a month in town. And, you know, you get foot traffic. So yeah, those are the answers.
Okay, that's amazing. I always say, you know, when you move abroad, it allows you the opportunity and the space to bet on yourself because the cost of living isn't so great. You know, I think lots of people in the US tend to live paycheck to paycheck because the cost of living is so great. So, you know, it's like you don't dare bet on yourself because if you lose that bet, then you're homeless or you have nothing or you're starting over. You know, entry level or from zero. So it's very difficult in that way. So it's so amazing to move abroad and be able to and have the freedom to be able to bet on yourself in that way and become an entrepreneur. So that's absolutely amazing that expats there are taking advantage of those opportunities. So as you know, like lots of Black Americans are moving to Mexico, and you know, some of the cities are more popular than others, like Tulum is like all the rage right now. And then there's Playa, and then there's, you know, Cancun and these other cities. Tell me why, one, you chose San Miguel over all of these more popular cities. And then tell me the advantages of living in San Miguel versus one of the other cities.
Okay, well, the first advantage and why, well, we'll talk about why I chose it. So I had been to Mexico in the past, several places in Mexico. I had visited first here, San Miguel, and also I visited Oaxaca, which is along the coastline, kind of going into the Pacific side. And I went to Cancun, I went to Mexico City, and I was just kind of blown away by how much geographical diversity there was in Mexico. And, you know, so all these times that I traveled, really, it was just to experience it, to see Mexico, not necessarily to live in Mexico, even though I spent a lot of time, you know, on each visit. I could have been here for 3 weeks or a month or something like that. Along the way, I started really appreciating the country more and more because I started really dispelling all of these like things that I thought about this country. I remember my first visit to Mexico City, I was completely blown away. And I had already visited other parts of Mexico, but I think I just had this image in my mind that it was unsafe. I really remember feeling like it's unsafe. It's going to be kind of ghetto. And, you know, where are we driving through? Like, where are we going? And when I got there, I was so shocked at how my ignorance prevailed in terms of my, you know, vision about this city. And I was so blown away about all the beautiful green spaces, et cetera, et cetera. So with San Miguel, that was my first visit and stop to Mexico in 2005. And at the time, I think I had these images about Mexico City because San Miguel, not that it was dangerous, because it wasn't, it was just small. And it's now expanded, but at the time it was really tiny. And I remember, you know, like if you got a little bit outside the city, you know, some of the roads were like dirt roads. And I remember thinking at that point, I had the option to potentially move here. And I was like, what am I going to do? Like, you know, what am I supposed to do here? You know, and it was up and coming, and I couldn't see the, you know, need to I just didn't have the same appreciation for it. And I just couldn't see it. So fast forward to 2016 and 2017, when my husband and I started talking about where do we move? You know, where do we want to go to? We looked at Europe, we looked at Costa Rica, we looked at Panama, we looked at various countries. I think we even looked at Colombia at some point. And, you know, I said, okay, where do we go where we can get more for our money? I didn't consider Mexico because he actually wasn't so excited about it. So for me, I was like, well, I really like Mexico. He's like, no, I don't want to do Mexico. So I said, okay, I'm open to other things because I had already had experience. I was open to something new as well. So long story short, I ended up doing all this research, and for some reason, Mexico just kept popping up, top 3 places to visit or retire to or move to or live. And I was just like, okay, I'll send him the data. So when San Miguel kind of started coming up again, I would send him, stuff that I would find online, why San Miguel, little articles, and it started to renew my excitement about this city, because I was like, I've been there before, and I'm sure it's way more beautiful than it used to be, et cetera, et cetera. So after it was all said and done, we decided to take a research trip to San Miguel. And I think it was December of 2017. We decided, okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this trip. And that was actually kind of a fluke trip, but we ended up doing it. And when we got here, it was Christmas. There were so many people. And I just remember looking around and saying, this city is so amazing. And I could not have appreciated it more than I do now. Leaving the US was on my mind. And I was just like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in Europe. I absolutely love living in, I love living here, but I loved visiting all parts of Italy in the past. And I was like, this reminds me of Italy, and it's so colorful, it's so vibrant, and there were so many people around. And I just thought, I feel like I'm in this whole new space. And it just grew on us. I remember we went out like that night, and we were just walking around, and it was just so beautiful. It just feels like you're in like Disney of Mexico or something, in a city. It was just amazing. So in saying all of that, it came down to just falling in love with it again and appreciating it in a whole different way, because now it's bigger. It has amenities. It's making my life really easy in terms of transitioning from the US to this city in particular. There are a lot of expats who live here. We're at about 12,000 full-time expats who live in this city. The reason why I love it more than maybe, let's say, a Playa or a Tulum, it's not transient. And I know the beaches over there, but I didn't want to be that hot. I was moving from Florida. I lived in Miami, which was very transient. I was in that party phase of my life. I was like, I want to go out. I want to do the nightclubs. I want to hear reggae music. I want to hear house, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I don't want that anymore. So for me, moving here really symbolized having more roots and just being in a different space, a different headspace. It's way more, to me, it's way more sophisticated than a playa. And I'm not saying playa is not, because I really do love the beach areas in Mexico, but this city is really like going to Bellagio in Italy. It's just very high end. It's very classy. It's very artistic. The offerings that they have for other places to live, it's just really like old world, but classy, not old funky, but old classy. There's a lot of history and a lot of art here. And it's just an amazing city. It has so much to offer. There's hot springs. There are vineyards like you would not believe. There are just so many openings that you can attend. Pre-COVID, they have theaters. Like a Motown, you could go to a Motown tribute. A few months ago, they had a Nina Simone tribute. It's just very, it's just think about like New York City kind of compact down into San Miguel. That's how it feels to me, honestly. It's not spread out. It's not crazy fast paced, but it has all of these offerings of a big city in a very small space. So for me, I love that because it feels very cultured, and there's not just a party scene. You can go and have a really amazing dinner. You can go to an amazing fundraiser. You can meet amazing people, interesting people from all over the world. And it's a small community that's very supportive of each other. And, you can go to the grocery store and actually see people that might bother some people because it started bothering me in the beginning. Now I'm used to it. I was just like, I gotta fix my hair every time I go out because I never know who I'm gonna run into. But yeah, no, it's really a big, an amazing place to live. I love it.
Well, it sounds awesome. And, before I even met you, I had seen some of your pictures on a friend of mine's Facebook page. And when I saw the pictures of the city, I'm like, what city is this?
Yeah.
Like, I need to visit this place. It
Yeah.
looked very majestic,
Mhm.
like some of those older, beautiful buildings in Italy and France and these places. And I was just like, oh my God.
Mhm.
Like even now, when I
Mhm.
see some of your pictures and other friends of mine, I'm just like, oh my God, like this place is
Mhm.
amazing. And it
Yeah.
always looks like you guys are having so much fun. So I'm
And
just
we
like, oh,
are. And we
I cannot
are.
wait to get there.
Yes.
So I just want to experience it along with you and everyone else. But I think before we in the call, I just wanted to touch on something you mentioned.
Mhm.
And you talked about how you kept sending your husband, things that you would read about moving abroad. And I've seen on a number of occasions, women
Mhm.
have written in my group. I'm, the creator and founder of Blacks at Tribe on Facebook. And I've seen people mention many times that their husbands did not want to move abroad, or their husbands did not want to go to a specific city if he were, going to move abroad. So,
Mhm.
I'm just curious, like, how were you able to make this happen? Like, to get a man to move from his home, the US, to move abroad? Because I don't know if he wanted to as well, but I know you're very passionate about it. So I'm just curious
Mhm.
what the story was.
Well, the short version is that, when we reunited, we talked about just how much we were working. We worked so much. I had my own business. He had several properties in Connecticut, plus a full-time job and, big family. And it was just a lot, and I felt that we were just constantly going. And when we sat back and I said, you know what? Okay, we have this much coming in every month, but even if we took off the work portion part and we had this much coming in from other things that didn't require us to be in a 9 to 5, where could we go in the world where we're still going to be okay? So in the beginning, I started to kind of explore. He was like, oh, I don't know if I want to move, I was like, let's just think about it, like, let's discuss it. Let's not say no, like, let's have the conversation. We started to explore, the different countries. We kind of made a list of the countries that we were interested in. He really loves Italy also. So that was the first country on our list. I love Italy. He loves it. We got married there and we were just like, Italy, and then right off the top for me, I remember saying to him, like, okay, during our visit, our dollar only was like 70 cents. Does that make sense? No, like most people move because they want to gain on what their income is, not lose. And I was just like 30% off the top is not going to work. Like, we're not going to be living lovely. You can lovely on the vacation, but this is going to be, us losing money all the time, just trying to live in Europe. So we then started looking at countries in Central and South America. And, I even considered slightly Thailand because it's one of my favorite places that I've been to. And I love that country as well, but it's so far away. And he has a big family. I have my mom, my brothers, and blah, blah, blah. So then we decided, let's go to looking at Costa Rica. I don't know why Costa Rica is so cliche. I think it's just, it has this, thing where people are like, let's go to Costa Rica. I had never been to Costa Rica. I'd never been to Panama. We could consider these two places. These were the next two choices. And then I started really doing research and digging. And then I kept just kind of saying to him, like, okay, if we go here, we could do this. And if we downsize and leave the US, we could live this way. And here's how much it would cost in these countries. So I really did a lot of research. It took me a year and a half of just digging. And this was without people like you and me and pages with info and YouTube channels. I remember even looking at YouTube and I found like one article that was, no, it was a video from CNN featuring another Black woman that moved to San Miguel. in 2016, but it was more related to the politics that were going on in the US. And I was like so excited. I was like, hey, look, she's in San Miguel, and I sent that to him. And then I found other YouTube videos about like education and school and cost of living, but I was digging, but a lot of the messaging was not clear. Some of it seemed really old, et cetera. But I kept just kind of pouring in to the conversation and showing info on why this makes sense and the cost and, how we can change and the things that we will have and how much the rent is going to be and how much this and this and this cost. And I still didn't really have the real facts, like I have the facts now and I'm able to really give it to people like, this is exactly what it is. A lot of the stuff I found was like bits and pieces all over the place. And then sometimes asking questions in the Facebook groups. So as I started feeding this stuff to him and showing him things and finding, maybe examples of other males living in Mexico and, sharing, just constantly talking about it, he started to kind of understand why it could be something that he wouldn't mind doing. And I said, also the location, Mexico's right here, just south of the US. So really and truly, this is not a bad option because if you have family or you're concerned about being too far away from whatever is going on in your life in the US, this is a couple hours away of a flight. It doesn't take you to fly over the Atlantic Ocean, to get back to the US or whatever. So those were the things that we discussed. And then the research trip sealed the deal. So if you're able to do that, which is what we're offering, I think that it just makes sense because people should really see the space that they're going to. They really should, get a good foothold on it. Even our trip, it was just the two of us. Like if we had been in a group, absolutely, we would have gotten way more from it. But on day 2 of our trip, he and I hired a person to drive us around to neighborhoods, which is a part of our tour. But that's what sealed the deal for my husband. He saw this development and he fell in love with it. And he was just like, we should move in 30 days. We should definitely move in 30 days. And I was like, we're not moving in 30 days. We're definitely going to have a plan, but he really fell in love with it. And, after we did all of the kind of, searching and the touring and looking at the cost and asking people questions and things like that, we started really putting this city on like, like a jacket. We're like, oh, okay. We like this place. And, oh, this is totally not what he expected. Cause he always wanted to live in the suburbs. And I'm like, you got it. Suburbs right here in San Miguel. And after we got here and did more and more research, we found out that it was actually voted and has been voted the #1 best small city to live in the world, 4 out of 5 years. And this was with Travel and Leisure, I believe. And it's been just really amazing trying to, just be here, tell everybody how we live and share stuff with everyone. And that's where my excitement comes from, because it really is truly special to me. And I'm a little hard to please in that regard. I lived in Florida, I've lived in Texas, I grew up in Connecticut, I'm from Toronto, I've been around the world. And there are not many places that I've been to that I just am excited about where I live full time.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. What really like touched me was like when you were saying like you had to do all that work and you kept researching and sending it to your husband and and I was thinking like, we're doing a good thing, taking this part of it off of people's plates because, people are working full time. Like, it's like a full-time job having to do this research and who can I trust and, where should I live and, who are the expats there? Who are the locals that I need to meet? How do I get this paperwork done, that paperwork? How do I become a resident? All these questions like, that you have to do extensive research on and all the strategy sessions they're doing with other people and all the coaching, they're doing. Like this trip is like all of that into one. Like it eliminates a lot of that work for people. And so, I'm very proud of what we're doing here. And I'm thankful for you for reaching out to me. But before
Likewise.
we wrap this up, I really want to know I want to know because I'm coming, but for everyone else, who is watching this video, why should they come to San Miguel on this trip?
Well, I feel that if San Miguel has just been on your radar, or if not, take a look at San Miguel. If Mexico's been on your radar and you've only thought about the beach places, because I feel like that's what we know, right? Because all the cruise lines go there, and that's the part of Mexico that we know. And a lot of people think Mexico is just one giant beach. If that's not your style, which it is for a lot of folks, so I'm not knocking that at all. If you really want to be somewhere where the weather is amazing, the climate is pretty moderate year round, look it up, and you want to live somewhere where you can just walk into this paradise, this magic bubble, and acclimate without going through a lot of the struggles of, I don't know Spanish perfectly, so I can't go to Mexico because I can't speak. No, this is a city. The road has been paved. There are plenty of people here who have lived here well before us. And it's just, to me, it's a soft landing. It's a space where if you truly want to become an expat, or you even want to make this your home base and you want to move around to other countries, or you want to move around within Mexico, which is a huge country, by the way, 32 states, you guys. There is snow in Mexico, okay? Just saying, in case you didn't know, there's the mountains. There are amazing metropolitan cities in Mexico. There are beaches for days, preserved, and also beaches that are crazy busy. So it's all on you. Where do you want to go? Starting with San Miguel, this is an amazing city that offers you kind of a lot of the things that you might be accustomed to in terms of access to, for example, if you like Costco's, I love Costco's, you can get to Costco's, you can get to Walmart, you can get to world-class shopping, you can get to whatever it is, there's even H-E-B's here, and that's in Querétaro. It's like 45 minutes away from us. But my point of saying all of that is that all of the things that you might be accustomed to and you think you're not going to have, and it's going to be a struggle, it's not. Like, literally, your life is going to be elevated, your quality of living, what you get for your money, the services. And I can honestly tell you that we have been able to make a lot of really good friends, people that are locals and other foreigners. I feel like most of the people who come here have very like-minded kind of thinking, about life. And they want to know where you're from. You don't get a lot of that, maybe, awkward experience. It's really a nice space where I feel like everyone's thrown into a true melting pot. And it just feels like you're received. You can integrate. I've met a lot of amazing local people that just, hey, Michelle, you want to come over and have breakfast? Do you want to have, like on Sunday, I had a nice brunch. So, at a local Mexican lady's home, and she has like villas, and, she's just like, oh, come over and invite your group. And, it's just really the city that just gives so much. And that's why you should come. And you should experience it for yourself, because I could keep talking on and on till I'm blue in the face. But all of this excitement is not made up. Like, I truly feel this way. For the people that know me, know I'm very black and white. If I don't like something, I just don't like it. I love living here. It's amazing.
All right, well, Michelle, how you described it, it sounds like home. So I cannot wait to get there. And, for everyone who's contemplating whether they should go on the trip or not, we've done all the work for you. If you're considering Mexico, like, please don't dismiss San Miguel. Like, yeah, the other places are popping on the internet and all these kinds of things, but you can't make it pop like every day. Like, you have to be living. So I think, those vacation spots, we kind of should leave them as vacation spots, because, that's where you go to, like, let your hair down. But in your everyday life, you need to be working. You have to eat every day. You have to be building your business. So you can't party every day. So even though those cities look very attractive, for a long term, I'm not sure they actually work for most people. So, consider coming out and joining us on Launch Your Life Abroad San Miguel. We are very excited to host you. And thank you so much for even taking the time to listen to this broadcast. We really just want to continue to share information about San Miguel. So you, number one, know it exists and know that it's such a wonderful place to live. And so, as Michelle has kindly shared with us. So Michelle, thank you so much for doing this with me today.
Absolutely.
Great. I have learned so much about San Miguel,
Yes.
Even more than I knew before. So I'm so excited, but I was excited before just because I love going to new places anyway. But I mean, seeing pictures have just been like, eye-opening for me. I'm like, oh, I have to get to this place. I cannot wait.
Yes, me too.
We look forward to hosting you in January. Go ahead and book your slot today before they fill up. We have 3 slots left, and one of them has your name on it. So go ahead and book today. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you so much. And we will see you next time.
Bye. Thank you so much, Faye, for having me. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Natural beauty, Yeah, no, I've never been someone shy until I seen your eyes. Still I had to try, yeah. Oh yes, let me get my words right and then approach you. Woman, I'll treat you like a man is supposed to. You'll never have to cry.